So this is an additional recording just to go over all the features that I have been able to see in my version of Google Meet. Keep in mind, Google Meet is rapidly being developed, so it's really going to be changing. This video will almost hopefully be out of date in a matter of days, or at least within a week or two. But I'm just going to go through all the features that are there. I looked for someone else's video doing this, and surprisingly did not really come up with anything. So I'm just going to go through myself. A lot of these things you've probably seen or discovered on your own. But just in case you want to go through an entire set of the features in there, make you feel more comfortable when you're going forward with your classes, etc. So first of all, I'm going to click my little red E here and make sure that I'm there. And when you're troubleshooting with parents or kids, this is just essential, because if you click this, a lot of kids, it's going to say, it's going to be like eSloan at google.com, because a lot of our kids, especially as Baltimore County devices get into their hands, they've got to log into that device under Google, under their own Google, their school Google, not any kind of Gmail their parents have made for them or their own Gmail accounts. A lot of parents made Google accounts for their kids thinking it was necessary. And the kids are logged in as, jsmith at gmail.com, and that's not going to work ever. They have to be logged in with their, mine would be ejs569 at bcps.org, not google.com. Anyways, make sure you're just check that. Always make sure, because that's going to be a big problem. I'm going to start a meet, whatever code I gave to the kids, eSloan 17, whatever, whatever you're waiting for the kids to use. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to get into the room. And we're going to see me. So here you can, turn off your camera before you go in. Not that there'd be any reason to do that necessarily. Or you can turn off your sound before you go in. There's a little more options box here. So we can turn on the captions ahead of time, which, it's interesting, but I think they miss most of the words that are spoken actually get missed. Let's see what the settings are before we go in. So before you even go in, you can play with these computer audio settings. For example, your computer may have multiple microphones. You can tell mine's working now because it's got this little thing is jumping up and down there. But if you have an audio problem, this is definitely the place to go check. Try each one. If you have hey, it's not picking up my voice, I'll show you where you're during the meet. You go there, and this is the kind of interface you want to be in. And there's nothing to do. You just try each one. Click this one, try it. Click this one, try it. Click this one, try it. Find the one that works, stick to it. Same thing with speakers. There are always multiple speakers listed in here. Even though your computer only has one set of speakers, you're going to find multiple speaker devices installed inside the computer that you never see. And your video is the same way. Which camera are you going to use? Well, I've only got one camera. Well, guess what? You might have 2 or 3 camera devices, even though there's no camera connected to them. Screen resolution maximum, if you're having issues with bandwidth, I would never bump up screen resolution in any situation. You're almost always going to want your lowest screen resolution available, just in case. You never know what networks can handle what. So now I'm going to go ahead and join now. And we don't usually need this information anymore since we're using the code up here, but you can always get that back. It's always down here in the lower left. You can always get that back. It's good to know where that is, so you can get that there. Going across the bottom, of course, you can mute yourself. You can leave, which you don't want to do, obviously. You can mute or turn off your camera. And there's the turn on captions, which sometimes works really well, sometimes does not work so well. Works much better with adult voices than children's voices, so your mileage may vary. I don't know if this only shows it for you. I'm assuming this is just for you, so you can't turn on captions and expect your entire class to be able to see those. And then just got covered up by that Hangout message. But here's the present now. So when you present now, you say, typically you're going to say your entire screen, unless you're doing something fancy. And then it's like you have to click it. It's like a lot of people get disconnected here. They have to click the whole screen they want to do and then hit share. And now I am presenting my screen to everyone in my Google Meet. Of course, there is no one in my Google Meet. So I'm going to go ahead and press stop presenting. And then we have the three dots. And it's always fun when you have extra time to explore your three dots. See what's in there. We have record meeting, fantastic feature, which my latest understanding, we are allowed to use this as long as we don't do anything with it, right? As long as we just have it for our own reference. The great thing about Record Meet is it also records your chat. So every little thing those students were talking about during your class is given to you via email. You'll get an email later if you record your meet. You get an email later, 10 minutes, 15 minutes after the meet. And one file is your video of your meet with the sound and everything. The other file is going to be that chat on the side. That entire chat is recorded. So you can click that and start the recorder. Change layout. I believe they're going to move a grid view feature, which is up here in mine, into this section soon. So we'll be looking for that. If you're doing grid view, and mine's on right now, that obviously takes care of that. While we're on layouts, this means my grid view's on. This means my grid view's off. I have other choices here, and you can check those off as needed. This one's fascinating. Try this when you're with a whole bunch of kids. It doesn't do anything now, since it's just me and this meet. When you press this, it takes all their names off and arranges them on the screen. It's a great way if you're going to take a screenshot. We have to look into the legality or the customary of doing anything with that image you take, but you can also enable screen capture mode before you start your camera. So that will provide just kids in general. When we put things online and it's an image of a kid with no name connected to it and no personally identifiable information, that's in one category. But you do want to have that conversation with administration before you do anything with an image of a child, obviously. But that's there. If you want to capture something going on for now, put it on your computer and then choose to do something with it at a later date based on input from administration, etc. You can do that. So going back to the three-dot menu, we have full screen, which just gives you a little more screen real estate if you're not jumping between windows or applications. Going into full screen is a good idea because you have a little more room to see people. Turning on captions, same thing as before, and settings. This is magic for when you're having problems with your microphone, your camera, or your speakers. So this is that same interface we were looking at before, but now you can access it from inside your meeting. Use a phone for audio, and what I believe this does is you can call into your own meet, and then you can have, if you have like a headset that goes to your phone, you can use that for your meet's sound, which if you're having trouble being understood or heard, that can improve the sound quality. So you can use your little phone microphone, not that you'd hold the phone, but that you'd use your phone's system to be your microphone instead of the one way up here on your computer. Report a problem and help. So those are those settings. Up here we have the all-important people tab. This is really important because you can go through here and by clicking the little arrow next to all of your participants, you can mute them. There is no mute all yet, although that has been highly suggested to Google. Hey, Google, let the presenter mute everybody, please. The person who owns the meet. I don't think that's happened yet, but we'll see. Hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll get that. But you can go through one at a time and click mute, click mute, click. So if that kid won't turn off their microphone, you can mute them there. And I don't know, you can share with me when I share this out. I don't know if they can put it back on or not. I think they can just put it back on, but you can mute it again, and ultimately you can remove them. So using the People tab, you can remove them. Also, you can add people. This is where you add your phone people. So not from the invite, but from the call. You can type in a number here, which we've covered in other videos. I was about to type in my phone number. And then you click the button, it calls them, and they join your meeting. Once you're done, close it up and add another person. So if you need to call 3 people, you put the number in, call them, they come in, close this up, add, put the number in, call them one at a time. You can't put 5 in there at once, although maybe that's a future feature. Now, one last thing I want to point out is the chat log. if say you don't want to record your Google Meet, you don't want to mess with all that, that's fine. In here is going to be all the chats. So if I write, hey, no one is here, it creates, it's right up here. You can highlight by clicking in there and pressing Control A. You don't want to necessarily hold your mouse down and drag down to select it. But if you do a Control A in that thing, it'll capture every single chat from the entire class, Meet, whatever. And you can then paste that into Microsoft Word. So you can actually grab everything that was said and every moment it was said in your class and have a record of that. And I'm thinking it might just be good to let some of the older kids maybe in grades 5, 4, 3, let them know, hey, just so you know, make sure what you're putting in the chat box is school appropriate and on topic, or say no chat please while I'm teaching. Whatever your standards are, whatever your norms are, let them know that you have a record of that. So that might, have some kids think twice before having a little party over there in the chat box room while you're teaching. As far as I know, there's no way to mute a student's chat, although perhaps that's coming. As Google keeps adding features, it gets more complicated. So it's kind of a trade-off there, but they do know they're going to have to add some features going forward. So that's kind of a tour around Google Meet. I know I didn't cover everything, and I know you probably knew about these things, and then ultimately this is going to change. But I wanted to make that in case people are new to the meets, people are coming into doing meets who haven't done them before, or if you've done a meet but you just want to go deeper and see what all of your options are. And my other recommendation, finally, if you're still listening, go you, join someone else's Google Meet. I know that as teachers we're using Teams, which gets confusing because Teams has its own whole set of features. But if another teacher asks someone else on your grade level, hey, can I come to your meet? Just drop in and just mute your stuff so you're not even necessarily a part of the class per se. Or any group of people that's large enough to actually play with these features. That gives you a chance of testing out all of these things we've talked about. So you can go in here and you can try out the layouts, you can try out the full screen, you can try out the captions, try out the settings, but it's not your meet. You're not responsible for maintaining the meet. So you wouldn't want to try things out when your kids are sitting there on the other end. So attend someone else's meet. You can't do the presenter things, but you can at least look around a little bit. Gives you a chance to poke around. Like there's some things I can't show you because I don't have people in this meet right now. Anyhow, let me know if you have any questions, and if features come in that are new, I will add updates or maybe remake this whole video so that you can see the new features. I think it's going to look pretty different, or at least have some different features in the next couple of weeks. So take care. I am signing out of the meet, and I'm signing out of my recording.